Welcome to the Live Like Eden podcast. I'm your host, Lindsay, and I'm thrilled that you're here. Years ago, out of nowhere, I found myself in a radical shift in consciousness that took me over 20 years to fully wrap my head around. Yes, that's right. It took me a long time, and without any warning, down the rabbit hole of darkness I went. Now I'm here to share with you all the insights of awakening, spirituality, health, the energetic world we're living in, and my absolute favorite topic, just how crazy the ego mind can be. These subjects are designed to help you understand the awakening process, to open your mind, and prepare you for your own unique spiritual journey toward inner peace. So I invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy today's discussion. Before we get started with today's show, I want to share with you something I've been working on. I have created a quiz just for you to see where you are on your own unique spiritual path. Everybody loves a quiz, right? You can go to my website at livelikeeden.com, click on the quiz pop-up, and answer 10 quick questions. You'll get an immediate response emailed to you with your results, a personalized podcast playlist including 5 Live Like Eden episodes that will offer you assistance where you currently are. And I've also thrown in a few bonus episodes that you'll receive a few days later. If you're a spiritual junkie, you're in the midst of awakening, or you're simply curious where you might be in your own spiritual process, check it out and feel free to share with your friends who might be interested too. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Today, we're going to get into creativity, how to unblock all the things that are distracting you from accessing your own creative potential. Let's talk about it. How can you clear the blocks to find your own flow? Creativity is something that inspires. It makes us feel like we've accomplished something, that we've built something. And when you're tapping into your own creative potential and you work with that and you imagine something and then bring it into fruition, it's really cool. It just feels really great when you know that it's all happening by your own ability to tap into the creative flow that's around us. This whole mystical realm that's sitting right there is full of imaginative potential. But when we get caught in the circus, right? And I mean the circus of life, like we're all the entertainers running around, trying to complete all the tasks that we have, survive in this game. When you do that over and over and over, and you have this have-to mentality, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to feed the kids, I have to go to work, I have to, it sort of drains the life out of you, right? It just sucks the energy dry. You keep doing this over and over again, and eventually what happens? You're just drained. You've lost all connection to your creative power. And it happens to all of us. I don't know about you, but I'm somebody who needs creativity in my life. If I don't disconnect from things and create something, I feel like I have no energy. I feel like I have nothing that's really satisfying unless I tap into that creativity. Maybe right now you're listening and thinking, gosh, my life is like I get up in the morning, I do the same damn things over and over and over, go back to sleep, get up, do it again. Like we're all hamsters on the wheel, just running and running and running. But where are we going? So let's talk today about how to get into our creative power. How do we access that flow that's there? And it's available to all of us. We're going to go over today how to tap into that creative potential so that it can bring energy to your life. You can start getting excited about what you're doing and what you're creating. The 4 things I want to touch on are getting rid of the clutter. Like, let's deal with the clutter, both physically, mentally, and all the little distractions in your life can serve as clutter. So let's get into that. Then we're going to look at how do you get inspired again? Tapping into inspiration. What inspires you? And then 3, let's look at imagination. Igniting imagination in your life. Returning to the curious child again. And lastly, I'll leave you with just a few things about making creative time regularly. How do you keep this in your life so that no matter what happens or how much stress you're dealing with, how can you get back into that creative flow? Before we get into all these separate topics, I do want to point out something that I think is really key when we're talking about being a creative person. It's really common to think of creative people as the artsy ones. They're the ones creating all the beautiful art in the world. They're drawing and painting and sculpting and building, and they're acting and writing and all of these things. And that's true. That's typically what a creative type person is like. But I want you to tap deeper into this definition, and you can be a creative person at anything you're doing, anything at all. Like maybe you're a creative person in how you organize a shelf, you know? Maybe you're creative at how you implement systems at work. Maybe you're on a spreadsheet all day long and you're really good at how you organize that so it flows beautifully. And that's your ability to be creative with something that you do. So think about it for yourself. What areas of your life do you use creativity? It doesn't have to just be the arts. It can be so many things. So really think about that first. And then as we go through all these different ways that you can reignite your passion for something, you can think about it. Like, for instance, let's say that you're really stuck in life about what you want to do for work. You're currently hating your job, right? You just hate it. You want something new. Or you're working on building a business and you're just stuck in which direction you should go with it. Think about the ways that you can be creative in removing these blocks, like tapping into, well, I could rethink what I want to do in life. I don't necessarily have to stay doing what I'm doing. Maybe I've always been led to believe that this is what I do and I'm going to stay doing it. Well, maybe that's not true. Maybe you could open the door a little bit and say, well, what else could I do? What else do I like to do? What else is available? If you're stuck in building your work, you might look at, why is that? Why am I having trouble right here? Maybe what I'm doing isn't totally resonating with me. Maybe I need to shift the message. Maybe I can look at it a little bit differently, and that'll just shift everything. You can start thinking about this and how it can really help you remove that feeling of stuck, opening up the mind a little bit and seeing it from a very large angle as opposed to just it needs to be this or that, especially when you're being told how to do it too, right? There's so many things out there saying, oh, well, you have to do this with your career or you have to build your business this way. Well, do you? Do you? That person's probably selling you something. There's infinite possibilities. So keep your mind in that state as we go through these things today. So the first thing I want to go over is let's get rid of the clutter. Oh, one of my favorite things. I have shows on this. If you are somebody who struggles in this department, you can go look through some of the episodes in the past where I speak specifically on how to clear up your space. But the first thing to do, especially if you're really stuck and you feel like you just can't access the creativity right now, is think about, where is my life cluttered? And let's think about all the places that it's cluttered. We can start with the physical. Take a look at where you live, wherever you're living. Look at the space inside of your home, your apartment, your condo. I don't know, wherever you're living. Maybe you rent a room from somebody. Look at where you're living and check it out. Is it cluttered? Are there papers piling up everywhere? Is there trash, just little trash, things that you could have thrown out that are just sitting in the corner? Really feel it. Like walk into your room with fresh eyes. No judgments. Just walk in and go, wow, look at that. Look at that mess over there. There's just crap in the corner. There's piles of clothes everywhere. There's dust too accumulating in the room. I haven't vacuumed or mopped the floor or whatever kind of flooring you have in so long. It's just gross, right? Or maybe you have a lot of stuff. Maybe you got a lot of trinkets and collectibles and tchotchkes, these things that just kind of sitting on the shelves, and there's no room for the energy to breathe. I like to call it the energy is breathing in your space, making sure that there's always a little space around everything. Whether you know it or not, the energy does communicate. The frequency and vibrational field that is all around and within us is a communication. And if you can feel that, then you can rework your space pretty easily. If you have difficulty with it, you're going to have to learn it a little bit more, but we all have the ability to rearrange a room, right? And what speaks to you? How do you like it? Does it feel better when you move things around? Think about this. Go in and start eliminating the trash. Look at all of your items and say, do I really love this? Does it speak to me? Do I need it? If you do, keep it. If you don't, donate it, or maybe a friend wants it, or somebody else could use it. If it's not something anybody could use, you got to pitch it. Trash cans are your friend. you know, they can be, especially if items cannot be used, they're broken or whatever. You got to pitch it. When you're thinking about removing clutter, I want you to think about it energetically. Each time you rework something physically, or you remove something from your physical space, or you just clean it up and give it a fresh look, what happens to the energy in the space? It's like gone through a filtration system. At least that's how it feels to me. It's being filtered. We're reworking it and we're uplifting it. And when you uplift the space, you are going to feel the same way. When you're in a space that is not working for you, or you walk into like a home that's a hoarding mess, what do you feel like when you walk in there? It's like, oh no. You're instantly contracting, restricting your access to that creative flow because it's just overwhelming your system. It's overwhelming your field. Now, this doesn't mean you have to be a minimalist. It doesn't mean that you have to have very few Zen-like items in your room. You have to listen to what works for you. What inspires you? What makes you feel comfortable and supported in your own environment? What colors do you like? What colors resonate with you? What colors inspire you? What makes you feel good? So really tap into your intuition here. Listen to yourself. How do you want your room to be? How could you change it? And you don't have to spend a lot of money at all. What could you do to make yourself feel better in it? Do you like flowers? Do you like plants? Do you like healing stones? What do you like? And pull those elements around you wherever you're going to be creating. So that's the physical. You can spend a lot of time in this department, especially if you have multiple rooms that need help. But for the purpose of the show, I just want to think about the space where you're working or where you like to create. You just think about that first. And then after you tackle that, go to another room, go to another closet, do something to remove it. Because if your whole entire home is moving freely, it feels so much better. You feel lighter, you feel excited, you feel comfortable and confident to create something new. I want you to think about the clutter now that's in your environment. Televisions, phone screens. How many screens are in your office? I have right now in my office, I have a double monitored screen. And they're fairly large. And if I sit in front of that for too long, it really messes with my eyes and I feel really stuck. So I take note of when that happens and I get out of my office for a few minutes. Maybe I'll go sit out on the deck for just a couple of minutes, breathe some fresh air, regroup, and then go back at it. Not everybody's sensitive to it, but if you're one of those people, sometimes just stop looking at the screen. Turn the screen off for a bit. Return to writing. Can you actually write on a piece of paper? Because we type everything today. I still think there's beauty and an art form in writing physically with the pen to the paper. There's something really magical about it. So think about turning your phone off for a minute. Maybe you're just flustered and stuck and overwhelmed. Phones do have an off button, right? It's like we don't use them ever, but they're there. So if you really need to just get away from the stimulation, turn the phone off, turn the music off, turn everything off for a minute and regroup. And then you can detach from the noise. Just turn everything off. You know how machines or computers, anything electrical, they sort of make this sound. There's sometimes like a humming sound with electrical devices, or maybe the fan starts running, or even your huge home HVAC system, it makes noise. If you turn everything off and really get into the silence, it's like, then you have access to creative power, especially if you've lost it. Now, once you've reestablished some regular practices that we'll get into later, you can kind of tap into creativity whenever you choose to. But at first, when you're really stuck and you feel blocked, do the physical things to get you back into a rhythm again. Then think about clutter in your mind. Think about all the thoughts that are preventing you from accessing creativity. Are you overwhelmed? Are you stressing out? It also helps to sometimes put this on paper. Get it out of your mind and write it down. What are the thoughts that are really blocking you right now? What are you listening to in your head that you're believing? Well, I just can't get my business off the ground. Or I just can't get my work done every day. Or I just can't. Can you hear it? Blah, 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 right? It's never ending. The ego loves it. Remember that. The ego loves to tell us the sad story where we can't do what we really want to do. So write it all down if you can. If you hate writing, then just think about it and really look at what those thoughts are telling you, how you're believing them, and then do you have to believe them? Is there another way to see that? Is there another option? Generally think about it. You don't have to spend hours, but just generally think of a few key sentences that seem to hit your mind regularly. And they're frequent, right? Everybody shares these same things. I don't have time. That's probably number one. I say that a lot. Oh my gosh, I wish there were more hours in the day sometimes. Or sometimes I wish there was like a third day on the weekend to get caught up on the things that I need to do. You know, time is a strange thing. It seems like it's just moving faster and faster, and then there's no more time. I mean, it's strange. Maybe you share the same feeling. So looking at the physical clutter, do something about it. Take an hour and just rearrange your office or redo your filing system. Get some papers out of the way. I mean, almost everything today is digital, but if you still have papers, put it into a system. Get it out of your sight. Make it work for you. Color code it how you want it. Make it pretty. You know, I'm somebody who buys like pretty looking file folders because I just like everything to look a certain way. But that's me. If it's not you, then just get some plain old folders, label them, and put them away in a system that works for you. And then really watch the stimulation and all the distractions that you're allowing into your life. If you've had too much screen time, if you're scrolling endlessly on Instagram, you know, if you're scrolling through anything, how much time has gone by? And think about when you're doing that, just mindlessly going through some of the most ridiculous reels, right? I mean, really, it's just mindless almost. Some of them are funny, but it's like, it's mindless and it's designed to keep you looping and then doing what? Denying the potential you have to tap into the creative flow that's literally all around you. Think about that. And then lastly, think about those thoughts that might be blocking you from even believing that you can get out of this mess, that you can get out of this feeling of being stuck. So now that we've talked about the clutter, removing all of that physically so we can start feeling good in the space and tapping into creative flow is getting inspiration from spirit. How do you feel inspired again? How many of you feel like you have no inspiration whatsoever in your life? I'm on automatic pilot. I'm doing all my to-dos and have-tos, and I have no energy at the end of the day or at any point during the day to get inspired again in my life. And then it just becomes a routine. I'm just living a routine. Everybody gets to this point at some point in their life. We're all human. We're all running and chasing our tail. You know, that's what this whole world is, right? One cyclical thing after another. But how can you access creativity to bring the energy back into your life, to at least make your time here in this world exciting and joyous? Not that you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm all blissed out every day because I'm so excited. It's more of just feeling this contentment and realizing that you can just tap in and work with the flow around you instead of resisting it or blocking it. It's so easy to lose the inspiration, isn't it? We are literally consumers. I feel like the world has turned into selling of products and services and then consuming them all the time, right? Isn't that what it is? We're just consuming. And when you really look at it, it's kind of disgusting. You know, all the crap we accumulate. This weekend, my husband and I disposed of some things that have been sitting in our garage for too long, and we just took them over to this trash place. And as we were driving over there, you can see all of these piles of different types of trash, you know, scrap metal, furniture items, you name it, it was there. And I'm thinking to myself, look at all the crap that we just accumulate in a lifetime. It's really wild. And then it just sits in a landfill. It's so weird to me. You come into the world with nothing, you accumulate a bunch of stuff, and then you die without it and it's left here. It's just like, what are we doing? Anyway, you can begin to see why we lose touch with inspiration. We're just surrounded in crap. So how do you get inspired again? How do you discover what truly speaks to you? How do you do it? Well, number one, you can get into the new space that you've created for yourself that you now feel comfortable in. You love it. You can go into that space. You can turn on some music that resonates with you and just sit there. You can go outside, take a walk, get into nature, get the sunshine on you, sit in a park or sit somewhere that you love, that resonates with you. It could be anything. There's no rules for this. That's something that I always want to bring to the show is there's no rules when you're trying to access the infinite, right? So notice when your mind wants to tell you that it can't be that way because of X, Y, and Z. Well, is that true? Probably not. Get into a space, get somewhere that makes you feel good, and whatever that looks like for you. And then when you're there, I want you to think about, or you can have a piece of paper with a pen, and you can ask yourself these questions. What inspires you? What truly, truly inspires you? What do you love to do? Or what would you love to do? Keep your mind as open as possible. Sky's the limit. Ask yourself as many questions that you can. Is there a hidden passion that's just been sitting within you and you keep thinking about it, but you never access it? What is it? There's always something that each one of us has that says, I'd really love to do that. Or this really inspires me. And just make a list of all those things. And as you do this exercise, notice how you feel when you think of something that inspires you. Notice how you feel. Are you excited? If you feel excitement in your physical body, that's a strong yes. Chances are that's a big yes. So put a circle around it, star it, do whatever doodling you do, highlight it to make that one obvious. If you start thinking about things that sort of make you feel constricted, maybe a sense of dread, that's probably a no, right? Let your body communicate to you. You know, when you think of something and you're just like, oh, this is amazing, I start to feel heightened, you know that that's a yes. So get in touch with your intuition and learn how your body is communicating with you. Not only does this help you with just getting inspired again, to get creative again, but it also helps in your life doing anything. You start listening to how you feel in certain environments. When somebody says something to you and it's like, oh, listen to your body. It's a yes or a no. Notice the difference. Sometimes all it takes is just getting out of the regular routine to get inspired. If you feel like you're stuck in a routine, and let's say most of us, you got to work every day. If you're on the weekends and you're like, oh, but on the weekends, I spend my whole weekend getting ready for the week, or I'm out in the yard cleaning up, or, whatever. But think about taking time, whether it's an hour on your weekend or whenever you have the free time to do so, and do something that inspires you. Go to a museum, take a hike someplace you like, get on a bike, go bike riding. Do anything that you love to do. And sometimes when you're just doing the activity, it puts you in that creative flow to receive information. So doing what you love, getting into a regular rhythm with it to unlock those barriers to creativity. In a state of feeling well is typically when you can receive information. When you're in a state of uncertainty or fear or whatever you want to call it, you can lose your ability to tap into that because you're consumed with worry. So think about doing something fun, something that you haven't done in a while, something that you'd love to do and have never done it. Try doing that. See if it inspires you or brings you into a state of flow. So if you feel like you're on autopilot in your life, nothing is inspiring you anymore and the passion's gone, right? You just feel like dead. Then think about reworking your clutter, look at all those areas, and then get into that space or take a walk in nature and start getting curious again about what you actually love. Write it all down. Do it like an exercise. What is it? What am I passionate about? And then go from there. That's your starting point. Then the next thing is imagination. Oh, imagination. Igniting imagination is what we have when we are born. As children, we're curious about everything. We live in imagination. Do you remember being a child and imagining everything? I remember being a kid, and I was born before the constant phone usage. I grew up in that era where kids were still outside playing in the sunshine, creating games, playing endless games, creating new ones, writing plays, performing them in front of your family, creating dance productions, all kinds of stuff we were creating all the time. I remember just literally writing scripts, and then the neighborhood kids would all play out a certain role and we'd perform it. Or as a child, I remember laying in my bed at night and, we had one of those popcorn ceilings. I'd look at the popcorn ceiling and just create characters. You know, when you think about creativity, it's really with us. It's always been there. But as we grow up, we become conditioned, we have obligations and responsibilities, and what? We get into that cycle of chasing our own tail, and the life is sucked out of us. And we lose the connection that's really there. It didn't go anywhere. We're just not using it because of all the stuff we have to do. The to-do list, right? The have-tos. Now, I'm not suggesting that you don't continue to do your life, to do the things you have to do. What I am suggesting is, can you reframe how you use creativity in your life? That it's with you all the time. You can access it at any point. Now, imagination, because most of us have kind of disconnected from that, can be reignited. And there are some things that you can do to just get yourself back into imagination, and it requires a little bit of effort. Just start doing something outside of the logical side of our mind, that left brain, and do something creative to access the right side of the brain. That right brain is the creative side. It's the intuitive side. When you do things like drawing, painting, writing, acting, singing, listening to music, or playing music, it doesn't matter. Find something that works for you to draw you into the field of imagination. Even if you're not good at drawing or painting, just start putting your hand on the paper and create something. And the more that you do this and you disconnect from the screen, from your work life, from whatever it is, you'll start watching your imagination grow. Write something, write a story, write a poem. I mean, if all of this stuff is you're listening, you're going, well, that is not me. I just can't do that. Then can you do something with your hands? Can you go out into the garden? Can you get your hands in the soil? Can you build something? Can you create a project for yourself and do it? Do something different. But can you do something with your hands? Make a meal that you'd like and do it on your own. Don't look at a recipe, just do your own. Create your own meal. There's so many options here with just getting back in touch with the creativity that's around you. Our mind's tendency is to look for tutorials. How do I cook this recipe? How do I draw this figure? How do I paint it? How do I write a good story? How do I write a good poem? How do I become a better actor? All of those things are how-tos, and the world is flooded with how-tos, right? Every blog post you get on is like, how to achieve your goal in 5 simple steps, And that could be helpful. I'm not dissing it. But what I'm saying is, when you disconnect from somebody telling you what to do and you tap into your own creative power, that's the magic. That's the beauty of being alive, when you can do it yourself. It's so empowering when you know that you have the potential to create something. And again, it doesn't have to be just art. It could be creating something in your life, in your business, through traveling, through whatever it is, through working with your kids, through helping people in your community, through helping your parents, whoever. Think about all the things you could do to be creative and write them down, and then think, how can I implement this into my life regularly to spark that creative sense that I know that I have? And I know that I've had it because I used to have it. And I used to have it in my life. And now I've become so overwhelmed and stressed out in the day-to-day that now I don't feel like it's there, like it just left me. And then the mind starts saying things like this: oh, you're just not creative anymore. You're never going to be able to do that because you're not that person anymore. It's silly. It's nonsense. The power of imagination is there. But it's really essential that you disconnect from everybody telling you how to do it. Okay, so turn off the influencers. Just turn them off. Shut the book that's telling you how to do something. Shut all of it off just to try to reignite your own imaginative spark. Select an activity, whatever that is for you, and do that. And open up your mind to the potential that is sitting there. You kind of wonder if it's not by design, right? That we have billions of creative people in the world, but now we're just focused on the phone. We're focused on looking up every little detail of our life, asking AI, asking Siri, asking for somebody else to tell me what to do. And when we continue to do this, we lose the creativity that we have. And then you wonder why, when you walk around in the world, lots of people look lifeless. The energy's heavy. We've all been there, and you might be there right now. The power to change it is there, and you have that power. So by utilizing your imagination and picking something fun to do can really open you up to this flow again. When my kids were all very young, I was home with them, and I created every single day a quiet time for them because it was really for me, you know. So I would not lose my mind. They were a lot of energy, they were full of life, and in that quiet time, and they did not have screens or anything like that in their rooms, right? They were very little. They would have creative hour. One of my daughters was a very creative type. And during her quiet time, because she refused to take a nap, I gave her a lot of different supplies for her to create whatever she wanted. That eventually turned into like drawing on the walls and crayons on the walls, painting the walls. And I'm like, oh, that really wasn't what I was thinking. I was thinking you'd actually put it on the paper. But she was so creative. She would cut up construction paper. And one time she made a frozen yogurt machine. And I went into that room and there was like teeny tiny pieces of construction paper all over the floor. My mind is going, what a mess. But at the same time, I'm like, wow, look at that. Look at what she just created. She's like 5, you know. And that really did continue throughout her life. She learned how to get really creative. This is a great reminder now for the fourth item, which is making a regular practice with your creativity. If you're in a space of feeling stuck and you're ready for more energy in your life and you need that creative flow, then make time for it. Make time every single week, every single day if you can, to at least tap into your creative power. Can you take 10 minutes a day, turn everything off, and write out something? Whatever it is, maybe you're a drawer, you want to draw. And just an exercise like this alone can get you in the space. Or if you're somebody who needs inspiration for like work projects or things like that in your career, turn everything off, disconnect, and tap in. Write out everything that comes to your mind. Everything without limiting it. This is key. Watch when the mind wants to jump in and say, well, that isn't possible. That won't happen. There's not enough money for that program or whatever. Even if that happens, doesn't matter. Keep accessing your imagination to write out everything that comes to your mind. Everything. And maybe some of it is impossible, but that's not the point. The point is, how do you tap into your imagination and get creative again? If you start telling yourself, no, 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 what does that do? It blocks you from the flow. Now, don't get confused and think that, oh, because I want this, now I'm going to manifest everything into my life. That's not what I'm talking about here. I'm simply talking about exercises to get you back in touch with creativity. If some things get shot down, they get shot down. But don't let that stop you from trying to recreate. Because that's what happens, right? If you're somebody who's had a lot of letdown in your life, or all your ideas get shut down, or you're not given the tools you need to make something a success, it's really draining on you, right? Because you're saying, well, I can't get this done. I don't have the support I need to get it done. And what does that do to you? It makes you feel like you have no more creative ideas. It makes you feel like you can't do it. The key is to have the regular practice of doing something creative, to keep your imagination going, to keep yourself feeling inspired about whatever it is. One of my twin daughters is an artist, and she is really dedicated to perfecting her craft. She loves to paint, and she's quite good at it. She's very hard on herself, but she's quite good at it. But you know what she does? And she's almost 16 years old. She has a schedule for herself. And she's very good at keeping her schedule. She has a schedule with her art. Every night at this time, I am doing painting, drawing, or one of the things she's working on. And she does this every single day. It's really impressive. Now, granted, she's a kid and she doesn't have a lot of other responsibilities in life but going to school. But listen, just to have the dedication to tap into your creative power and get into it regularly breeds more creativity. the more she's tapping into the flow, and the better she's becoming at her craft. For those of us that don't have that much time, right? You just think about, well, maybe it's just on the weekend, or maybe it's just one night a week that I devote to this creative time for myself, whatever that is, whether I'm brainstorming ideas for a project, whether I need to make some changes in my life and I'm lacking the ability to do so. Well, what could be some creative ways to do that? It's about taking the time and actually doing it. If you don't take the time to do it, it's very difficult to reestablish that flow again. But once you take the time, once you implement it regularly into a schedule that works for you, you get excited again. Sometimes it's like shifting environments. Maybe you need to move into a different space or just go do your work in another location if you have that ability to do so. But once you know all these things about yourself, once you know that clutter can be a problem, once you know that I can get pulled in by many distractions over and over again, once you know that you're lacking inspiration because you're not allowing yourself to feel it anymore, and once you see that you've shut down the childlike imagination that is still within you, then you know you can shift it. Oh my gosh, I can shift all of this. I can turn all the influencers off, turn all the reels, the tutorials, all of it, turn it off. How can I be creative? And there's no limit to that. Take the time. Work it into your life some way, somehow. There's always a way. There's always a way. When you believe there's not a way, then there's not a way. Right? All it is just shifting your perception. There is a way. Maybe I just wake up 15 minutes earlier and I sit and I have that time to create, tap into the flow. Maybe I want to move, but I'm scared to move. And packing up this whole house seems impossible. What can I do that will inspire me to make this happen? Start looking at areas I'd like to live. Research all you can about that area. Go take a trip there. Talk to somebody who lives there. Investigate different ways of moving. Maybe I sell everything and just go down and relocate and then I'll rebuild there. Keeping your mind open is so key. It's so key. It is the real reason why we get stuck. It's just the mind. Mind's in the way. You want to know why you're stuck? The mind is usually in the way. Sometimes it's physical stuck, yes, but can you think about that physical situation in a new light? Can you reframe it so that it works for you? I hope that this inspires you today. I hope that it inspires you to create something new in your life, whatever it is. Or if you're having trouble in a certain area, turn everything off for a while. Just turn it off. Turn the noise off. It's like we've become consumed with clutter and distraction and stimulation that we've lost this real innate creativity that we all have. Doesn't mean we're all going to paint the Mona Lisa tomorrow. It just means there's always a way that you can be creative in your life. Always. Always, always, always. There is a blog post on it, and I will link that to the show notes. If it interests you, check it out. Just to restate, those 4 things are declutter, get the clutter out of there, clean up your space, look at your mind, your thoughts. Think about inspiration. What inspires you in your life? What are you passionate about? What do you want to do? And then imagination. So key. Be that kid again. Create something in your mind. Start doing something to get those creative juices flowing again. And then lastly, make the time. Make the time. Schedule it, whatever you need to do to remind yourself to just create a little bit of time to tap in. I hope you all have a great week, and I'll see you next time. That'll wrap up today's show. Until next time, I invite you to check out my website at livelikeeden.com. You can sign up for a weekly email reminder when my new podcast and blog comes out, which is every Wednesday. If you are struggling with your own awakening process and you need further assistance or guidance, you can also sign up for a free consult, and I would be more than happy to work with you. If you're enjoying the show, I ask that you share it with others that you think it might benefit. Until next time, thank you so much for listening.